Hello, everybody. So sad the weekend is over. Can't believe tomorrow is Monday. But let's enjoy what's left of the weekend. So I trust you got the much needed rest that your body deserves. So, drum roll, please. This is my imaginary drum roll. This is our first movie review. So, I watched a series some days back titled The Waterfront. This is the first series I watched. That from the first episode to the very last episode was just back to back action. I was hooked. So the scene opens up with two men who apparently look like fishermen, and they're on a boat, and they get a notification that whoever they're waiting for has arrived, and they're like, "Oh, let's go and move the cargo. I'm tired. I want to go home." And I just felt regular fishermen. Maybe they were fishing and they were just going to transfer the fish to another boat and return back to their town. Later did I know that these were drug dealers. And before I could say Jack, two men had boarded the ship, sprayed bullets all over the place, thrown the sailors overboard, and cleared everything in the ship. And that brings the story of Kane Buckley. So you know those communities or towns that is as if is one family that owns the whole town. Everywhere you go, Buckley Saloon, Buckley Shop, Buckley Restaurants, Buckley Seafood. So basically, the Buckleys are those kind of people that are the big deal. They own, in fact, probably the whole of that town. Their family goes way back, like old generation money. However, rumor has it that the founder, that's the late Mr. Buckley, who is the father to Harlan, got into drugs at some point and their wealth is drug generated. Because of how brutally murdered he was, they withdrew from drugs and went legit. But this coconut head called Kim Buckley, who is the genesis of the whole problem, in his bid to save his dying family business, he decided to go back and start dealing drugs again. He started using the ship, the family ship, for catching fish. He said he used to start smuggling cocaine, and nobody knew. But for some reason, his sister knew, and her plan was to expose him to the law enforcement so they could arrest him. Because from her perspective, he's the reason she doesn't have her son, which is a lie. But we'll get into that later on. So Kane Buckley starts this illegal dealing of drugs, and his father finds out. And his father is so upset. Like, if you want to do this, why won't you get me involved? I know the ropes of the business. I know the ropes of dealing drugs. Your grandfather showed me the ropes. And we had stopped this as a business. Why will you put us in danger? But he was trying to save his family business because they were in a lot of debt. They were owing millions and millions. And if they didn't come up with a particular sum of money within a particular period, they will lose everything. So of course, Harlan in his normal way, who is my favorite character, like that man in all his films, is always acting action, action, action. The guy is always 100. So Harlan Buckley comes into the picture and starts to sort of mentor and guide Ken Buckley. Then the first problem is who stole the cocaine that was meant to be delivered via the two late fishermen. That's where the problem started from. But Harlan is street smart. Kane is Ajebo. He grew up in a very buttered shelter. So this is not his normal rodeo. He doesn't even know what's going on. He was not even doing the business well because we were not giving him information. He didn't know he was working for. He didn't know anything. All he was doing was providing ships. But of course, Harlan comes on board. Harlan says, "No, we have to discover who stole those things because now they're going to think you stole it." In the end, it turns out to be Kane's very his former classmate Hoyty. Hoyty introduced them to the business, and how he started smuggling drugs. But for some reason, Hoyty was really bitter that you are a privileged person. I'm not from, I'm money, I'm poor. So why don't I steal these drugs, make my cut, and pin it on you? So Hoyty's plan was to pin it on Kane. But of course, Kane is not street smart. He couldn't have figured that out. But Harlan is street smart. He knows the way things go. So he could predict that Hoyty was behind it. But the real shocker was that in the end, they found out that it was the sheriff that was even the drug supplier. No, I would say supplier. So let's say distributor. He was the person behind everything, the law enforcement. So imagine if anything goes wrong, he's the law. Nobody answers to him, he answers to himself. So there was a scene when he tracked Hoyty, Kane, and Harlan and Hoyty. He said they told Hoyty, "Go and show us where you kept that cocaine. If not, we're going to kill you." So Hoyty takes them there, and before you know it, the sheriff is pulling up, and they are like, trying to protect his. Oh, this law enforcement. You don't want him to know what's going on here. Just for the sheriff to reveal himself that I'm the one behind everything. And now you put in my pockets. It's like the Buckleys. You think you own the whole town. Everybody's is always talking up to you. Everybody's always making you feel you're so special. But now I call the shots. You're going to be in my pocket. Yeah, no one's going to be answering to me. And that's it. Before we could say Jack, sheriff don't come on gun, shoot Hoity on the spot. Even the Mumu Hoity was saying, whispering, "Don't worry, they are not informed. I didn't tell them." He said, "Very good." Next thing, bullets through straight to Hoity's head. May I not feel bad, or no, it's film sharp, but that Hoity needed to die. Because how do you want to set up your friend? Yeah, your friend say he needs money, he needs business money for his family, so his family will not become, their business will not go, their legacy will not be washed down the drain. You now introduce him to business, then you now want to still set him up in this business and cash out in the process. So Oiti, he needed to die. Then they were now saddled with the sheriff. The sheriff was now controlling everything, doing as he wants. But you know Harlan now, if you watch the film self, you will, or you get a perspective of who Harlan is, his character traits. He's not someone you can push around. He's like a big deal in the town now. So even the sheriff or normal, they cannot talk to him anyhow. Even not because of these illegal dealings that has made him become a puppet for the sheriff. But Harlan said, "I will do this thing the way I want to do it." And of course, the sheriff is saying, "All your life you have been pampered, you have been babied, you have had everything you want, but this is the time I'm calling the shots. I am your boss." And there was not friction. In the end, they had to eliminate the sheriff because that sheriff is a very annoying person. I was so happy when they eliminated him because the guy gave back character. So for some reason, the sheriff wanted things to be done a certain way, and Harlan said, "No, we'll get caught if we do this way. Let's go this way. Let's just make it easier so you are not really included in an obvious manner in this deal because you are the law." And the sheriff says, "No, you're trying to cut me out. You're trying to steal my cut of the money." And they had friction. Then this crazy sheriff goes to Harlan's wife business there. They have a family restaurant, and he goes there and threatens her, presses her hands, tell her, better tell her husband to get on track. If not, I'll deal with you and all of that. And Belle, his wife, goes to beg him that please make peace with this man. We're stuck here. We have no choice than to work with him. I remember when Harlan was about to come out from the car, he looked at his gun. Then he puts it back in the car. Because honestly, I thought he was going to just go off the rails and kill that guy. And he goes in there and they're sharing a drink, they're going down memory lane. Then he shares this plan on how he can make the business more efficient with the sheriff. And the sheriff says, "Sam, I call the shots." Before you know, there's friction. Sheriff is trying to kill Harlan. Harlan is trying not to die. In the end, he ends up stabbing the sheriff. But what I really annoyed me and bothered me about the sheriff, he dug up some old memory of when Harlan's father got brutally murdered. That he went to the bar and he was telling Harlan when Harlan was sad and was in grief and all of that. He was saying, "Okay, let me buy you a drink." And Harlan was like, "How much do you earn in law enforcement? That don't worry, don't bother buying me a drink." And it was like, "Why won't you let me buy you a drink? Who do you think you are?" That was so disrespectful. So this weary sheriff had kept this anger in him for years. And in Harlan's mind, he thought they were good friends or good old friends. So he was so much in shock to discover that even the guy said, "I resent you, I hate you. I will pretend all along." But that just shows life. You never know who is in your inner circle. So I think that this person is my bestie. We share everything together. We talk about everything. You need to have discernment. You need to know who is your real friend. Anyway, back to our story. So they've eliminated the sheriff. Of course, Harlan had to call his wife. They had to now create an accidental mother. That was another case that is on the side. So I said, Brie, who is Harlan's only daughter and Kane's sister, very irritating character. She made up for her bad behavior in the end, but I was like, what kind of person is this? Apparently, she felt her brother was the reason she lost her son. So when she was, okay, let's backtrack. She experienced her grandfather's brutal death because her grandfather tried to cross sell and was trying to to time in the business, and his employers just had to send the message or they brutally murdered him. But they didn't know that she, Brie, was in the cabinet, and she saw all this trauma, all this the way they brutally murdered her grandfather, and it affected her greatly. And even the worst part, her mom had to tell her to lie about it so she's safe. Because if they knew she had told the police what she saw, the mob would have the drug cartel would have found her and they would have come to kill her. So she had to live with this burden for from her childhood. So it's something that drove her to taking drugs, drinking alcohol, and all of that. So she fell off the rail. And one time she was high and she set up her husband's house on fire, and her son was in that building. So she lost her husband, who has now remarried with a very annoying wife that I don't know why they kept on featuring that woman in different scenes in the movie. Then her son, they took her son away from her. And she says her brother testified against her. And because of that, she was willing to set him up to go to prison. So she now brought this DEA agent that had no business coming to Newport. I think that's the name of the place. Something Port Sha. She brought this new DEA agent and started providing with information. Even when the guy could not find anything, the guy's boss said there's nothing to investigate here. Even the guy said there's nothing to investigate here. He's going back to where he came from. She said, Sam, she checked her brother's laptop, looked for documents, looked for information. She was so determined. She desperately wanted him to go to prison. But in her shock, she later discovered that her mom had been roped into this whole thing. Her father had been roped into it. It's not only Kane that was going to go to prison, their whole family legacy was going to go down the drain. Then her problem now became, how do I get rid of the DEA agent? Because the DEA agent now found information which she had already helped him to get on the right path. And he found the security camera where Harlan and Bell were leaving the sheriff's house and coming into the sheriff's house the night he was murdered. So he now used that to blackmail Harlan. Told Harlan, if you want me to destroy this evidence, that's the DA agent, you need to provide your supplier. Now let's now talk about this supplier. Grady, person wey e head no correct. As a were pro max, were multiplied, if I were to infinity, that guy is a real psychopath. So let me describe Brady to you. Brady is one of those people that you will never believe is into drugs. When you just see him, well dressed, nice jacket, side pocket, very bougie looking, 1%er, stinkily rich. You know those people, the way they always look wealthy with their blazers, very, very, I won't say Englishman, but well dressed. So when they even showed Brady, I was like, this guy's head cannot be correct too. Because it doesn't look like someone that will be a drug dealer. But because he doesn't look like someone that would be a drug dealer, his head cannot be correct because he was not a money misroot. He was from a very wealthy background. In his words, he wanted something for himself. That's why he went into drugs because he comes from a very influential family. So I knew that the guy, some nuts no go alive for his head, and he didn't prove me wrong. First manifestation of his psychotic nature. If I say nature, psychotic nature. Beg your pardon. One day he goes to meet Hal and he says, I want to send this parcel now. We need to deliver. My client has called and he needs these drugs in urgently. And Hal says no. Harlan, beg your pardon. Harlan says no. We agreed on 2 parcels per week. If we start doing more than we ought to, we will draw attention to ourselves and we will get into trouble. And it's like, no, I call the shots. And Harlan says, no, like we established earlier. Harlan does not like to be push around. He calls his own shots and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Then that's where the friction starts. So one day, Grady goes to Harlan's. So there are 2 businesses side by side. There's the restaurant and there's the seaports. Like it's where fishermen just bring their fish, clean it, and sell it. So he went to the fish part of the business, and he takes Harlan's grandson, and the grandson is like, he meets the grandson, and he's like, let's go hunting, and he's like, you're a stranger, I don't know you, I can't go anywhere with you. I was like, come on, I've been here several times. I'm your father's friend, I'm your grandfather's friend, and all of that. I said, okay, grandpa will probably catch up with us, and he follows him. Do you know that this psycho Grady, when Harlan finally shows up and he agrees to actually go hunting, because Grady, he said that the I've done so much for you, I've given you extra money from the first installment, the least you can do is go hunting with me. So Harlan said, no problem. We use the opportunity to discuss our iron out things. Do you know that this psycho Grady, shots dealer, who is Harlan's grandson, he said he was trying to kill a bird. Bird is in the sky, human being is down. You shot human being that is down. No problem. They rushed dealer to the hospital. Luckily, he didn't die. So when he arrived, Grady arrived, he comes with a teddy bear, he comes with balloons, because he has said in one of the episodes that he has been certified and checked, and he's medically stated that he is a narcissistic psychopath, which he really showed in so many scenes. But I personally want to diagnose him that he has personality disorder. Because how do you shoot somebody? You claim it's an accident, which you all know it was not an accident, because a bird is in the sky, he's ground the ground, you shot the boy. You say it's an accident, you show up at the hospital with a teddy bear and balloons. Then the grandmother, beg your pardon, is upset. You shot my grandson. What are you doing here? You're not normal. You're psycho and all of that. And he wants to beat up Harlan's wife, if not for the intervention of Sean. So now let's deviate a bit. So Sean is Harlan's surprise son. He just showed up in one episode and he became a bartender in the show. And next thing, he's telling Belle, Sean's Harlan's wife, oh, there's episodes later. Because Belle kept on suspecting him. While doing illegal things, who are you? You say you're a bartender. You're a horrible bartender. You look online for recipes on how to make drinks. So you're obviously not a bartender. Who are you? So she kept on pushing and pushing and eventually says, I'm Harlan's son. My mom used to work here, blah, blah, blah. She just passed. When she passed, that was when she finally revealed the name of my father. So that's Harlan's secret son. So back to our story. So Grady is at the hospital and Belle is upset. You shot my grandson. What are you doing? You can't be normal. And he wants to start rough handling Belle or he wants to beat her up. That's when Sean comes with all these kung fu moves. Even me, I say, hey, well, this one no need gun, though. This one is Ninja Turtles times 100. And he just gets to beating because Grady was trying to prove a point to Bill, like, who do you think you are to try to tell me I can't be here? But Sean ends up beating him black and blue. Then they move on. That's the first time he showed his psychotic nature. The second time he showed his psychotic nature is when Harlan told him, I don't have any business to do with you anymore. Don't ever call me. Don't come near me and my family. I'm done with you. Then he shows up at Harlan's fishery with two men and some jellyfish, and they tie him or tie up Harlan, and they put the jellyfish, which sting, like I could actually feel Harlan's pain. They sting him thoroughly. I thought he was going to die because he has heart issues and he has a pacemaker in his heart. That's the second time he demonstrated his psychotic nature. Then the third time was when Harlan and Sean were going to work together, and he sends his thugs after. Because of course, Grady is trying to show that I'm the boss. You can't tell me you won't do business the way I want to do business. And Harlan is saying, I'm not a small boy. I'm not a small fish. I'm not a baby boy. I'm a senior man. You show me my respect. So that tug of war was there. So Grady sends two of his goons. They cross Harlan on his way to work, pick him and Sean up, and they take him to the field, to his farm, where he produces and distributes the cocaine. When they get there, he wants to kill Harlan and all of that. And he now says, who are you? Why you keep on popping up? I've come to the shop several times. Fisher, I've seen you so many times. I've seen you at the restaurant. I saw you at the hospital where you beat me black and blue. Why are you still here? Who are you? And he's just like, you must be someone irrelevant. Let me just shoot you and move on to who I'm talking to, who is Harlan. And Sean's like, no, don't shoot me. I'm Harlan's son. I was like, wow. This just got very interesting. And Grady, they put a bit of sarcasm in him because the guy is obviously a lunatic, but he had some sarcastic undertone. And he tells Harlan, why does everybody get to be your son other than me? So for some reason, he thinks Harlan should be a fatherly figure to him. I don't get that. He says he hates his father and he feels that Harlan will fill the shoes perfectly. And Harlan is like, nah, I'm sure Harlan was just like, this is too much crazy for me to handle. I'm not doing this. And he's like, he says everybody gets to be your son other than me and all of that. Then luckily for him, Kane sneaks in, which is Harlan's first son, sneaks in with two of the men they work with for the smuggling of the drugs, sneaks into the farm. But the bad thing is that Kane blows up the workshop where all the drugs are, millions worth of drugs. And that was the last straw for Grady. Grady went off the rails. So now let's put the other characters into play now. Belle. So when they started the film, I saw, oh, Belle, Harlan was always cheating on Belle. I was like, why cheating on this woman now? This woman is really trying for you. Oh boy, Belle too is heartless. So number one, they were in debt to the to the bank. Belle went behind his back to try to sell their family land that Harlan had told her that you have no right touching, because apparently it was his grandmother's land. It was a dying wish and nobody should develop that land. It should just be left the way it is. But Belle went. went to go meet developer. They had even almost finalized everything before she now started having affair with developer. Developer to now show bail premium shege, but we'll go into that deeper into that later. Let's now backtrack. So they want to cut things off with Grady because Grady is a lunatic. He has no code. He has no moral compass. He doesn't have any rules to the way he conducts his business. Brady can wake up tomorrow and say he wants to shoot dealer, Saul's grandson. He can wake up tomorrow and say he wants to kill Bill. He doesn't have any moral code. And Harlan is like, this is not the way we do business. I've done this with my grandfather, my father, beg your pardon. He did this. He taught me the ropes. There must be code. There must be structure. There must be some sort of togetherness so we don't get caught. But Grady way here no correct. That one not dey follow any moral. Oh. He is the moral, is the rule, is the anyhow he feels he does things anyhow. So they said we need to cut ties with Grady. So they now go back to the people that killed his father, the people that his father were working for. They are like the biggest drug dealers in that region. And they're like, we need money urgently from the bank. We need 12 million, but please give us 8 million. We will give you unlimited access to our boats to do whatever you want for a full year, but we'll get money return. And to tie the deal up, we need you to eliminate Grady. And they're like, oh, sure, sure, sure. That's a small fry. We're eliminating. Shocker. People that they said to go and kill Grady. The next day, Cain came to work. In his office, they were there lifeless with inscriptions on them. Said, nice try. Ha 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 ha. Because like I told you, Grady is a psychopath. Nice try, ha ha ha. They did not know that, okay, this what Gary has passed water here. So everybody's trying to stay together, be watchful, don't let anybody be in danger because obviously Grady is coming for us in full force. But unfortunately, he ended up kidnapping Harlan's daughter, Brie. So let's go back to Brie. Remember, I said Brie was so insistent on her brother going to prison because she hated him. She feels it's the reason that she has no child. With Brie in the beginning, she had no moral compass. She could not accept her mistakes because how can you make such disastrous make such big mistakes and you not blame your brother? Did your brother give you drugs? Did your brother tell you to burn down your house? Did your brother tell you to be an irresponsible mom? But that's their story. Anyways, so Brie had to get rid of the DEA agent because he had started to get on their tail and he was now blackmailing her family. So what does she do? She goes to his weakness. They met in one of those rehabilitation rehab programs. So she now looks for a way to put cocaine in the room where the DA agent is, and as someone that is a drug addict and always says in almost every scene that he feels like using, so it was very easy. Before he knew it, he used and he overdosed and he died, and that's how they eliminated the DEA agents. So back to our story. He kidnaps Brie, so Brie redeemed herself because she realized that it's not only her brother that is going to prison. I don't know how you can hate your brother so much that you don't mind him going to prison or destroying his life. Anyway, it's a film. Back to our story. So she redeems herself. She does her best to keep her family safe by eliminating the DEA agent so it doesn't go to a federal level or it doesn't expose what they are doing. Then Grady sends his goons and they kidnap Brie and they take her to the middle of nowhere on the sea. And he calls Harlan and says, if you want to see your daughter alive again, you better come here for a fair trade. I'll release her if you show up here. So Harlan goes and he hides in there's a little cabin where Sean, of course, Sean, he's always saying, I don't have family. This is my only family. So whether I am with you people. I know I'm a bit traumatized with what is going on. I'm not used to this kind of experience, but Sean, for some reason, stuck with the family. So he followed Kane and they went with Harlan, but they hid somewhere in the ship. So when Harlan was coming up, they could only see Harlan. They didn't see anybody. When they searched the ship, they didn't see Kane, they didn't see Sean because we were hidden in a compartment in the ship. So back to Brie. Brie wakes up in a bed on the yacht in the middle of nowhere. She looks out the window, just ocean, just miles and miles of oceans. For some reason, she tries. Breathe. Whoa. Brie was impressive. Oh. She made some very serious. Even a Grady was like, I'm impressed because no Grady is a psychopath, like we've established. So she tries to gives her food, says, let's eat, let's catch up. That's Grady and Brie. But during this whole process, for some, she manages to get a bottle, which she breaks and tries to free herself. And she gets a gun to shoot, and she was about to shoot Grady. Not knowing that her son had smuggled himself on the boat. He saw when they were carrying her and he wanted to rescue her. her and her son, they have a very bittersweet relationship, but in the end, he showed that he still loves her and all of that. So he got on the boat. She was about to shoot Grady when the sun came up, and they told her, if you don't drop your gun, we're going to kill your son. So she had to drop the gun, and so they don't kill dealer. But fortunately, Grade is a psycho, like we've established a million times. He shoots Brie in the leg and says, I don't need more than one Buckley, so you can die. He shoots the Brie in the leg and throws her overboard and says, I'll keep the grandson for the exchange. But luckily for her, her son throws a life raft to her, so she inflates it, and that's why she stays and she doesn't die in the end. So when Harlan finally shows up at the boat, he's like, where is Brie? Like, I shot her. As the way Grady talks without emotion, that guy is a lunatic. He talks without emotion. He's just, and he'll be laughing. He said, like, I shot her, I didn't need more than one Buckley, so I got rid of her and all of that. Then the shooting starts, Kane comes out, Sean comes out, the shooting starts, they kill, they end up eliminating all Grady's men, and it's only Grady left, and Grady's about to like jump off the boats, and sure, and Kane holds a gun to him, and but Kane is ajebo, he's not used to this rough life, he's shaking, he doesn't want to kill Grady, and Grady now starts to talk, because Grady talks a lot. I'm sure if you watch this show, you just be like, "Ah, can you not shut up?" He talks a lot. So Grady starts to insult him, and he tells Harlan, this is the person you're picking me over. Instead of it to take me as a son, yeah, this is the weakling you want to take as a son over me. He can't even pull a trigger and all of that. And because of all the mean things Grady is saying, Kane ends up shooting him, and that's how Grady dies. And that's how Grady is eliminated. So back to Belle. Belle that I thought was innocent, but she's very far from innocent. So when this the developer, they have an affair, it doesn't work out, she cuts him off. Later she finds out that the developer goes to the bank, and he makes a deal with the bank that puts a foreclosure on the businesses of the Buckleys, and instead of giving them a time frame of maybe a few months, within 45 days they have to come up with a certain amount of money, which make them go back to those other regional drug dealers that killed one of their family members because they were desperate. But that was not only the bad part. She tried pleading with this developer that, okay, forget our personal history, forget what happened between us. Please help me. I don't want to lose our business. This is all we have left. And the guy is like, I know now it's not feel like I'm a superstar. You're coming to beg me. You that you do shakara for me. It's my turn to do shakara. He didn't help her. He says he can't help her. He can't do that. He can't do that. Blah blah blah. He didn't help her. But the end of the film, that's the part I loved the most. So Belle uh, is seen talking to the representative for the new people they are partnering with, to the regional people they are partnering to move the drugs, and he's like, my father is assistant that he would like if we can change. Be working with you instead of your husband Harlan. I think you're more structured, you're more reliable, and all of that. And Belle is like, of course, Belle, and that's one thing I don't like about Belle. She likes making decisions. She does not carry her husband along. She does do as she pleases. I know her and her husband, they have a very very off relationship. Like the man is constantly cheating on her. And she knows all his girlfriends. In fact, there was one scene he went to motel to sleep with one woman, and he now had that attack because he has a pacemaker in his chest. He had that attack. He had to call his wife. When she even rushed to the hospital, he was like, he was not even asking the wife about the girlfriend. Let's say the girlfriend's name is Isabel. Said, did you see Isabel? He said, yes, I saw Isabel. I sent her home. We'll discuss her later and all of that. So I'm like, what kind of weird marriage that? But that is a movie, and that's there was my business. So back to what we're saying. He tells her that my father would like if you take over the business from Harlan, and she's like, okay, no problem. She discussed without discussing her husband. No. She didn't tell her anything. She says, okay, I'll take up the position, I'll take up the role. Then she walks into a room, and who do we see? The developer. They beat Shege come out from that developer body. See blood everywhere. When he even saw herself, he was shaking. I'm sure in his mind was like, this one, but who you be? You're a Buckley, so what? You don't know that family where their head no correct. Family where they do illegal things. Family where they kill people. Now people they don't kill for the ocean. You are not trying the wife. So he now starts, the developer now starts shouting at, please don't kill me. Once Bell walks in with the representative from the new partners, there are people they are partnering, and the developer starts shouting, "Please don't kill me. I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. Don't kill me." And the representative from the new drug cartel now says, "You better, because that's your new boss." And they end, and I'm like, "Mado, this will be so interesting because Belle, she looks harmless, but she's going to be more brutal than her husband." So I know season two is going to be very, very, very interesting. So my most annoying characters in this show. Number one, that sheriff. that had was keeping vendetta since 19 BC that nobody even cared about and was very wicked. He needed to die. I know it's a few, but he needed to die. Oiti that wanted to set up his classmates and corner all the money and let them kill Cain because he was envious of Cain. That Cain grew up from a privileged home. Who say may your papa no get money? Then number three, I would have said Brie, but Brie has repented. She repented. She redeemed herself in the end of the show. So I guess those my two most. Grady. How can I forget Grady? Grady is a lunatic. He's a psychopath. In fact, I think between the sheriff and Grady, I don't know which character I detest the most in this show. But it's a very interesting show. Like from episode one to the end, it was just back to back action. The plot continued to ticken, surprises left, right, and center. So if you haven't watched The Waterfront, it's a great show to watch. And for those that don't like series, it's a series that you enjoy watching. So that's my first movie review. And as always, our motto remains be kind. Be kind to people. Kindness costs you nothing. Try to be kind to people this week. As always, I wish you all a wonderful week. I'll see you in my next vlog. Bye bye.